Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Brewing with Jim.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everybody.
Wherever you may be listening.
Here we are.
My name is Joseph. I'm the co-host and the question asker. As always, I am joined by Mr. Jim Brewington here in our studio.
Morning, Joseph.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Oh, I feel good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We have a question. By the way, I should clarify. This is a show that gets a bunch of questions. That's what we do. On Brewing with Jim, we get audience and listener questions about life or really just about anything. And we just try to provide some insight, some answers, whatever it may be to help our audience out.
That's what we do.
We've got a question today. We want to acknowledge this up front, by the way. It's very similar to a question that we answered not too long ago.
Okay.
Episode 79, how do you balance work life and home life? Today's question, how do pastors set boundaries on their time while still fulfilling their duties? So
Only a pastor would ask that.
right, I think so.
Right. This is not going to be from a student. That's
Yeah.
going to be a pastor who has no balance.
That's right,
between, yes.
So it's a similar question, but we can dive more specifically.
The principles are the same, and the principles come from a standard that is in the Mosaic Law, and that is take a day off. That part of the Bible is often disregarded by people. Take a day off. Take a day off is right up there with do not commit adultery and do not murder.
That's right.
And it's apparently high.
Yeah.
I am a pastor. I think I was a pastor when I was conceived, and that's not really a joke. God makes pastors. Not every Christian is a pastor, but every Christian is a minister. And we all have responsibilities that are given to us, biblically expressed responsibilities.
That's right.
Pastors come in all sorts and conditions and colors, and we're all different personalities. We're not the same.
That's right.
And I spent 42 years working in churches as a pastor, and I can tell you that there have been times when I was so overwhelmed with the responsibilities that I had in the churches that I really did not have time for my marriage or for my kids that's just wrong.
Yeah.
And it's wrong from this perspective. There are people, we call them senior pastors, or we call them lead pastors, or the founding pastor of a church, or whatever, but it's the head honcho.
Yeah.
It's the high mucky muck. And so this guy often feels that he is responsible for the entire church. He's not.
Yeah.
Christ is the cornerstone of the church. Christ is the head of the church. Now, it could be recognized by the pastor that, well, yes, Christ is the head of the church, but he doesn't run the place. I do.
Right.
And when that, then I have to be super pastor. I do all the weddings, and I do all the funerals, and I do all the hospital calls, and I do all the preaching, and I do all, and then on top of that, ministerial responsibility comes.
Yeah.
Well, I have to check the budget of the church.
I was going to ask about this. Yeah.
You got to do all these in a small church, and I did pastor in a small church. I typed the bulletins.
Yeah.
I counted the money.
Yeah.
I posted the donor records. I would and I watched the budget and do all of these things. Well, when did you live? I really didn't.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I thought hard work was highly valued. I didn't know that resting is highly valued also, and taking time off. There are some denominations, I know I could name a couple, where the pastor takes 1 month a year off.
Sabbatical,
And yes, you call it sabbatical. That sounds really nice. Actually, they just go to go to the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then there are pastors who, in addition to thinking I'm responsible for everything, no, you're not. You have a church filled with ministers. Everybody's a minister. Delegate some of it. Now, it is in the head of some pastors. It hasn't been said unless I say it. If I say it, it's been said. If somebody else says it, it hasn't been said. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Let somebody else
That's right.
preach. Don't let anybody else preach.
That's right.
They need to be vetted because they have an enormous responsibility standing in the pulpit, proclaiming the word of God. They have to know sound doctrine. They have to, okay. But I think that relaxing and realizing, Pastor, that you don't have to micromanage the church.
Yeah.
All micromanagement, church, ecclesiastical, or business, or otherwise, is based on mistrust. I don't trust anybody to do what I have to do. I have to oversee everything.
Yeah.
Well, then I spent 17 years as a pastor on staff in a mega church with thousands and thousands and 10 or 12 different campuses and so forth. You can't micromanage.
You can't hold that all together.
You can't hold that, no, at all. I was asked one time, twice, if I would like to be the lead pastor of a church because the lead pastor was stepping down. Twice they said no, because I would rather minister to people than run a church. I don't want to run a church. Let somebody else run the church.
Yeah.
But I had to get my duties in order. I had to realize that the priority is my family, but the urgency of church business is sometimes will trump the priorities. Okay. There was feedback from that, if you will, and then I will add a point.
There was at least one question that I had that you answered naturally in there. I was going to ask that about, in smaller churches, wouldn't it be the case that a pastor is doing multiple roles that would otherwise be some kind of executive committee?
Exactly.
But you mentioned budget, you mentioned maybe operations and maintenance and building. Yeah, it's like that seems indicative of that gives off like small church vibes. I've heard I'm aware of at least one church as well that and this has always perplexed me when I hear about this kind of model, but a church that has like a Christian school that is attached to it, and the pastor of a church is sort of by extension an educational, like an academic principal.
Yes.
And that just seems terrible.
Oh, that's stupid.
That's just,
And it doesn't work.
Right.
It does not work. I have never seen it work.
Yeah.
You have to separate them because the decision-making responsibilities there are so numerous that there's no time to really do anything else.
Yeah.
I'm aware of a situation where a lead pastor called in one of the other pastors and said, in essence, we're going to have to let you go. Mm-hmm. Well, why is that? Well, we have been aware that you're having an affair. I'm not having an affair. What are you talking about? I'm loyal to my wife. I'm not having. No, you're having an affair with your ministry. You're spending more time with your ministry than you are with anything else. You are spending so much time with the Lord's work that you don't have time to spend time with the Lord. With the Lord. And so we're going to give you a time out here. Galatians, by the way, is the substance for this. We're going to give you some time to recover, to rehabilitate, to get your priorities in order. Yeah. And then we will talk again. We want you restored, but you cannot operate this way any longer. Yeah. It just can't be. It's unbiblical. It's sinful. It's there's nothing positive about it.
Yeah.
So
that's a very weird way to open the conversation about a good thing to talk about. I would never open a conversation by saying you're having an affair.
It's shocking and it's straightforward and blunt, but that was the purpose. That was the idea.
I think there's better
ways. To
get
this guy's attention.
I think there's better ways to communicate that, in my opinion.
Well, you and I have different personalities in that regard.
Sure.
We do. I'm the jerk who just says it. But
Yeah.
But I should be more as you are, because that's softer and more cordial.
This is
and so
hospitable.
forth.
I would just be direct and,
and you
like,
can-
don't bury the lead. Just,
Well, I have a
you know.
military background. You don't have a company commander who just, or the officer of the deck on a ship saying, "Well, now I think. What do you think? Should we go right
Sure.
standard rudder here,
Yeah.
or what's the? Let's vote." It doesn't work that way.
I know that.
Yeah, you just give the order,
Yeah.
and if you don't follow the
fine.
order, bad things are going to happen to
some
you,
nod in the
and
Navy.
probably bad things are going to happen to the ship and to the people on it. So
Sure.
you do what? Well, running a church is kind of like that too. There's a heavy responsibility.
Yeah.
There are churches who run out of people and run out of money and close the doors.
Yeah.
What is going on there? Well, it's very difficult. I don't like the way I started to say that. It's unsound to believe that God is going to bless an organization that is in rebellion to His guidelines. We have 3 books in the Bible called the pastoral epistles, 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus, and those are in there to tell pastors how to run a church,
Yeah.
how to follow Christ's lead in the church. But there are many pastors, though I believe they have read that, have not ingested that, and
Sure.
they don't run the church that way. And now you're expecting God to bless this because you're doing it differently than He has written.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what would you say to someone who is like looking after a super small church and they don't really have a lot of help? Like, how do they go about that in a way that is like, it has to happen, but we want it to be healthy? Is there wisdom from those books or from just your experience?
I would look back at the beginning of the church, and they were the church meetings were in homes.
Yeah.
And we didn't have I'm
Sure.
not that old, but they didn't have buildings to worry about and budgets and so forth.
Yeah.
Everybody would contribute. Everybody would bring food. Everybody would take care of each other and so forth. Now the church has more responsibilities because we are not doing what the church is supposed to do. And the more the government takes over the overseeing of the welfare of the people, the more the church shrinks away from that responsibility. It was the church that established the hospitals. It was the Christians that established the education system.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
Sure.
Now, we do have Christian schools, of course, and we do have, but there are hospitals that have some sort of Christianity in their name, but the government is taking care of health care, or people are striving to make that happen.
Sure.
The more that outside the church entities have taken the responsibility of caring for the people, the less the church has reached out, and the outreach has now turned inward, and we are watching each other and taking care,
trying to sustain our own organizations.
And sustain our organizations. And because of that, the personality of the church has completely changed, and I think that's regrettable. There are people, pastors in churches and churches who have outreach, what they call outreach, and they go into the community. But it's good work that they do that. But they're painting fences in elementary schools instead of changing the whole attitude of let's see needs, let's satisfy needs, let's take care of needs. And that doesn't mean that we go into a third world country and build an orphanage building. It doesn't mean that at all. Ministry and the outreach into other countries should always be done through a pastor of a local church, because they know the people, they know the problems. We can't go.
Right.
And then when the rich Christian American goes back home, the credit isn't given to the rich Christian American, it's given to the local church and then
right.
therefore given to Christ. And but we're not. A lot of people don't minister that way. They go and throw money at a third world problem.
And then forget about it.
And then forget about it.
Yeah.
And go home feeling really good about themselves that
Yeah.
we have done good
That
work.
reminds me of I forget if I've shared this before, but like World Vision as an organization, the schools worked with World Vision before.
Yes.
They go into really challenging areas and attempt to build up like infrastructure and an economy and healthcare and education and things like that. And they have like a model for doing that. That literally, when they pick a place, when they invest in a place, they're planning on being there for decades. And their process starts with, okay, fundamentally, let's stop anybody from dying, obviously, step one. But number two is like, we are going to establish, like, we're going to appoint people to live here for years, getting to know the area, getting to know the culture before we build anything. I mean, yes, we go in with medics and we make sure that anybody who is about to die doesn't die. But before we start building schools and wells and an economy and a system, we're going to get to know these folks and we're going to build it organically and we are going to build it alongside them, which is why it takes them decades before they might leave a particular place.
That requires an attitude change of the pew sitter in the church.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, a complete change.
Because we want results.
We have arguments in churches about the color of the carpet. And what kind of car the pastor is going to drive. What in the world are we thinking about that kind of stuff for when we really have issues that people are dying around us, people are starving? Orange County, where we are, is an affluent,
pretty affluent,
county. But we have people here who are hungry. In Orange County.
Yes.
We have people who don't know where their next meal is coming from. They don't have a place to sleep. They don't have, what are we doing bickering about the temperature in the worship center? But we do.
We do.
Yes. So the attitude needs to completely change, and the inward attitude affects the attitude of the pastors. We're just human beings. We're flawed. We're sinners. We are not at all perfect. And we can be flavored by the kind of attitude that the people in the church have. We have to respond to that, And someone comes up and says, the temperature in here is way too hot. Then we find ourselves mentally concentrating on temperature, colors, music, volume, all of these things. And we shouldn't really have donuts, because they're this healthy and so forth. What on earth are we doing thinking about these things and asking the pastor to think about these things when there are people out there who don't know Christ, who don't know how to love one another, who don't know how to take care of each other? We spend more time teaching people how to ghost your friends than we spend on how to embrace them and forgive them. So
that fundamentally, what you've just said, I think ties back to the original question really poignantly. Original question being, how do pastors balance their responsibilities? And so much of what I know pastors have to think about really shouldn't be their responsibilities in the first place.
True.
Or, like you say, shouldn't be things the church is even concerned about.
Right.
And that's the busyness. And I would even say this. I would even go this far to say, I really strongly believe that God provides pastors the sustenance to do their work.
Yes.
Fundamentally.
Yes.
God might not provide pastors the sustenance to do all the minutia.
That's right.
Why would God feed you energy for you to go worry about, like you said, carpet colors and stuff like that? That's not what he wants you to be thinking about or working with or having to stress about. When a pastor can focus on the fellowship and the ministry in a very meaningful and organic way, that's when that pastor's prayers for their daily bread and for sustenance from God, I feel like are going to get answered. Or,
well, that's biblical.
Provided, yeah.
That Christ shall supply all of your needs according to your riches and grace. That's exactly right. But the pastor is affected by the complaints and the focuses of the people.
And consider the difference of, like, does a very stressed and anxious pastor pray, God help me pick the right carpet? Like,
I hope not.
I hope not, right?
I hope not. Let somebody else pick the carpet, and then people will complain about that. Sure. We need to be teaching people, excuse me, we need to be teaching people what Paul wrote, that I have learned to be content in all situations. Yeah. And that contentment means I don't want more. I don't need to have more.
That's right. There's at least, in that example, pastors don't pray about the carpet color, and they shouldn't. There's at least a subconscious understanding that doesn't matter. I would argue just make it conscious and make it verbal and make it apparent.
Well, that's why the church has deacons.
Yeah.
The purpose of the deacon is to take care of the physical plant of the property and the building and so forth. Yeah. Even that responsibility has been distorted by some denominations that put the deacons in charge of the money and in charge of hiring and firing the pastors and so forth. Those churches are just deacon possessed. Yeah, and absolutely. They should not be that way. That the deacons are to take care of all those things, leaving the spiritual matters to the elders of the church. That is explicit and clear in God's word. What has happened to our churches that would reverse that? Yeah. And that's going to cause stress and strain, two different things, on the pastors. And the pastors are going to quit. Yeah. Essentially, they're either going to die early or they're going to quit because I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. The lead pastor should be the lead shepherd. Mm-hmm. And there are some lead pastors who are not shepherds. Yeah. They are operators, project managers. Yeah. They are the CEOs of the church. Yeah. But that's so that needs to be changed, and then we wouldn't be answering explicit, detailed questions about how does a pastor balance his ministry with his daily life, with his family, and so forth. Yeah. I could give you, you have to have so many hours doing this, and be sure you get 8 hours rest, and be sure you do. That's not the problem. Yeah. The problem is change what you're doing in here. Follow God's word about pastoral ministry and what it is. That's if you limit yourself to what God says, you'll be plenty busy. Absolutely. But you won't be involved in what you call the minutia. Yeah. It is the minutia of running a church building or a congregation.
Yeah. A concluding thought from me, we have this phrase in education, or I don't know if we have this. I've heard this said before. Keep the main thing the main thing. Yes. And it's this idea of when you're developing curriculum, it's very easy for teachers to get lost in activities, worksheets, introductory assignments, bell ringers, and it's like there's a minutia to lesson planning that happens very often. And oftentimes the objective of a lesson, the very thing that you just need to make sure your students are learning, can get lost. So hence the phrase, keep the main thing the main thing. I think that applies to really any position, any job, but let's focus that on pastors.
Define what the pastor is supposed to be doing.
What's the main thing pastor should be doing?
We have a head of schools here. Yep. I am not going to go into his office and say, come back to my room and tell me what you think of the temperature. He doesn't have time to do that. Right. That's not his job.
Absolutely.
No. And so you give that job to somebody else. Is the minutia important? Oh, yeah, the details are important. I watch closely the temperature of the room, the color of the walls so that they are soothing instead of somebody needs to watch that, not the pastor.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep the main thing the main thing, y'all.
So if a church goer, a member, a pew sitter has a complaint about something, where do they go? They go to the pastor and complain about it. And the pastor has to smile and be meek and mild. And no, go teach the people not to go to the pastor for that. And go to somebody else. Now, have somebody designated to receive those comments, to receive those suggestions. Or receive means listen to, not accept. Okay.
I love it. All right. Time for a second segment question. This is our surprise Jim
We
segment.
went long on the first segment.
That's okay. Because it was really good. No.
Oh, goodness.
The second segment we call Surprise Jim. This is a question you don't know ahead of time, just for fun. Jim, the question today, what is something in life, it could be a category of purchases or it could be a specific item that you believe it is worth paying more for the sake of quality or for the sake of experience? What is something you are not only willing, but like that you insist on getting what you pay for in terms of, I'm going to pay extra for this? I'll give you one example.
I have no idea.
I'll give you one or two examples if it sparks anything. When I see a movie in theaters, I will usually only see them in IMAX because I just want to maximize that experience.
Oh, okay.
It takes the ticket price from $15 to like $30. But if I'm going to the movies, man, I want to be at the movies and get the best. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Well, you don't want to watch a 35 millimeter film clicking through a projector.
No, I want to watch a 70 millimeter
70
film.
millimeter film. There are times when high quality just makes sense economically. You can buy something cheap, and then you have to replace it 4 or 5 times.
Sure.
I think that the house, to be a home, needs to be comfortable. Does it need to be luxurious and big and flagrant? Not in my mind.
Sure.
I don't have that. But I want an air conditioner. If I live in a really hot community, I want it to be a good one.
Yeah.
I'll pay extra to get a good one.
That's a good
I
answer.
want the
I love that.
I want the heat to work right.
Yeah.
In there, I have. This just popped into my mind. Debbie, my wife, thinks I'm nuts. I like flannel sheets, and and all my sheets are flannel sheets, and they cost more.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
No,
I want them.
I want those because, and now how do I rationalize that? Well, my rest is important. I have to. Yeah, I have.
It's just, they're
I have
cozy.
to be. I can. And some things I can't rationalize, so I have friends who do it for me.
Of course.
Yeah. So there are now. What about food? The quality of
That's a
food.
good one.
Do you buy a high quality junk food?
Sure.
Or does it have to be a health food?
Sure.
I don't want to buy a clunker for a car that's unreliable. I don't need the most luxurious car.
That's right.
But I do need a reliable car and one that's relatively comfortable because of the time I spend in it. Do I have to fly first class? No, I don't have to fly first class. Have I flown first class? Yes. And I didn't buy the ticket. Somebody bought it for me. And I thought when I was flying, well, I will never fly another way. This is perfect. Look at the leg room. Look at these people serving me. Look at this. And the next time I get on an airplane, I'm normal again.
Yeah.
I'm average again.
Like, man.
Yeah. So I think in general, it's nice to have quality things, but I want quality things only because I don't have to replace them often.
Like when it matters, especially. Yeah.
They're good for me.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay.
I love it. All right, let's wrap this thing up.
We squeezed that into 5 minutes.
It was perfect. This show is called Brewing with Jim. We want to thank you for listening. And as always, we want to invite you, listeners, that if you have a question or if you want to reach out to us for any reason, we have an email address, brewingwithjim@gmail.com.
Yes.
We check that all the time, and we would love to hear your feedback, your questions, any kinds of, like you said last time, critiques. But Yeah, that's brewingwithjim at gmail.com. Thank you all very much for listening, and we hope you have a good week.
Talk to you soon.
The topics that are covered and the answers that are offered during episodes of Brewing with Jim are designed to mine the wisdom attained from a life of pastoral ministry and care. They do not constitute professional or clinical training or expertise in the areas of counseling or mental health. CVCS and its podcast network want to provide a platform for the discipleship of our community. Brewing with Jim is our attempt to foster that environment in a format that is accessible for everyone to participate in. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during the show are the speaker's own, and they may or may not represent the views, thoughts, or opinions of Capistrano Valley Christian Schools or its faculty. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening and stay tuned for more.